This episode of SESSLERS Something is brought to you by Pure Evil. Why half-ass it? Hello, everybody. So this week today, I thought I would address a little bit of the hubbub that happened last week, both with SESSLERS Something and our Dead Space 3 review. They were sponsored by the nice people over at Slim Jim, and sort of inadvertently, the billboard, the ad that we put up, included an EA logo, and it just so happened it was in front of an EA game review, and I happened to do a SESSLERS Something that also addressed matters surrounding EA, where I was slightly defending them, though I don't think I've ever done a full-throated defense of EA, and nor do I ever expect to. Here's what happened. I might as well explain. We have a sponsorship with Slim Jim. Slim Jim has a relationship with Electronic Arts and Encode Giveaway, and when we read that part, the VO that goes, "This was brought to you by Slim Jim," we were sort of unaware of the fact that the EA logo was going to be there. And when we did discover it, which was at the end of the day when we had finished editing them and they were about to post, well, the phrase is, the horses were out of the barn. It was something that we kind of knew might get a reaction, and we just kind of had to hunker down and live with it. So just to reiterate, we did not receive money from EA, and obviously I regret everything that happened. And it was also a very instructive experience. I am slightly new to this wide world of the internet, and I take responsibility for that. And you have my, if not apologies, my awareness. What this incident was instructive of is something I've seen for all the years that I've been covering video games, especially when it comes to the internet, which is a sense of suspicion. And sometimes it turns into outright paranoia. And it always seems to take events and puts them into a very clear narrative of sort of evil game publishers and questionable game journalists. It's obviously kind of boiled over last year towards the end, right around the time I was starting here, when there were some incidents involving the assumed lack of integrity of certain journalists out there. I've been doing this a very long time. There are many people I know that are my colleagues, and they've never struck me as being unethical in any way. And obviously, yes, there's advertising that comes from game companies, because if you open up a copy of Car and Driver, you're going to see ads for cars because you kind of know what the interest of the reader might be. So the same thing happens obviously in the video game industry. You see ads that are endemic to the content of what's on that site. I don't know about quid pro quo that happens in other places. What I can tell you is that we are going to be very, very ethical here. And the best way to be ethical is to be ethical. But back to the narrative part of this and the way people regard it. It reminded me of something I learned back in college. There was a study done of witness testimony during the Elizabethan era in England, and how the way that people describe the events in a court case of something that they bore witness to really matched the same narrative form of the current plays and storytelling that was happening in that time. And that there's a kind of a way that we get seduced into looking at things in that type of structure. And so when I look at sort of the let's not call them ravings, but the way people seem to view the gaming world is something that seems to be so odious, that is so colluded and is so kind of mean-spirited in what their intentions are. I do wonder, and I ask you guys out there, what's behind it? What is behind sort of our lack of trust in language, our lack of trust in any kind of organized entity out there? I have this too, just not with video games. I have it with government and corporations. And it kind of leads me to say things that I feel are very truthful that probably I shouldn't say. Go check out my Twitter feed if you want to see evidence of that. It's just kind of disheartening. There's so many cool things that we can talk about with video games, but everything always seems to get sidetracked into the sense that there's some sort of dark intention, and that trying to uncover whatever that darkness is becomes the point of contest, and not sort of understanding what's so remarkable and interesting and fascinating about this emerging creative form. I just have to say, I love what I'm doing here now, and to do anything that might violate the trust between me and you guys out there is something I take very, very seriously. And so let's just say, yeah, this is the honest truth, and you're going to be getting it. All right, question time. This comes from CPT Spoofy. I think that's how you read it. I kind of like that. I like Spoofy. He says, or she says, Adam, what is your opinion on the Rayman Legends delay? The controversy involved about the game is already being done, and if Microsoft had any involvement with that exclusivity clause of theirs. A little tortured in the wording, but I think I know what we're getting at there. Thank you very much, CPT Spoofy. So in case you didn't know, Rayman Legends was going to be, or appeared to be, a Wii exclusive coming out at the end of February. It has now been pushed all the way to September, and we'll be seeing a 360 and PS3 release. I don't think, once again, this kind of speaks to what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I don't think there's anything noxious or odious about it. What I do think has happened is Nintendo themselves have had to reduce the expectations of what the Wii U sales are going to be. I think they expected 5.5 million sold by the end of the quarter. They've now lowered that down to 4 million. You know, for Ubisoft, putting out a game that's on a console that only has an install base of 4 million, and not all those 4 million are going to buy that game, you might not be getting too much of a good return on your investment. What you would want to do is move it to more consoles so it can get into more homes so that you can actually make money on the game. I think it does show that there is a dwindling sense of confidence in how the Wii U is going to perform, and that once again Nintendo is going to be in the situation where only their software is really going to be able to survive on that platform. I do find it most interesting that it's moved to September, which is also the month for another game that just got delayed, which is Grand Theft Auto 5. Does that mean that everyone's aware that the new consoles come out in October, and that's kind of the last big hurrah? There is something very intriguing about this September, and well, look there. I'm getting all suspicious. Suspicions aside, leave more questions. I will be answering them. And of course, check out a bunch of stuff that's on the site. There's some good stuff this week. Be one of the people to see the Last of Us gameplay video, and of course, my impressions on it. And there is a Dead Space 3 review if you need some context.